34. Air spirits, mountain spirits, and wanderer spirits. 19th February 1847. The little mists that develop here and there, especially on high stone mountains, soon above one or the other rocky ridge, are, if no rain has gone before, or also no snow and the like, mostly nature spirits, which do not come from deceased people, but can become human souls and spirits only after some time. These spirits, which so readily rise into the air, and sometimes even cover it completely, are the so-called air spirits, which already enjoy more freedom than the firmer earth spirits. But nevertheless, in this their free state, must be most carefully supervised by the pure peace spirits. Otherwise they could easily do some great harm. These spirits are seldom seen by people, and the spirits also prevent this more carefully, because they have a great fear of everything that is called matter, but especially from those with whom they sense a strong perceptive faculty. This very fear, however, also instills in them a kind of hatred against matter, in which they were imprisoned for so long. For which reason, then, a careful supervision of these spirits is very understandable. Because every spirit, if it once got rid of the matter, is not to be brought near matter at any price. Even the spirits of dead people have a great disgust for it, although a perfect intelligence is present with them. How great is the shyness of those spirits towards matter, who only a few moments ago, by special admission, have arrived at the required freedom from the bonds of the hardest imprisonment, in which they pretended to be perfect, without going through the fatal and tediously long way of the flesh. Such a desire is granted to them, but usually they do not keep their word. For these spirits, out of disgust and hatred for matter, either become vicious and vengeful, or they gather together by the millions and want to escape into the vast infinity. The malicious and vengeful ones are captured again and brought down to earth under the above meteoric phenomena, where they are immediately instructed to work in the plant regions. But if they do not feel like it, they are driven into the phenomena of water, into streams, rivers, lakes, and seas, where they then, as you already know, not seldom do their manifold mischief. But if they have become extremely wicked, and have united with the harsh spirits of the sea, it can even happen, and happens quite often, that such wicked patrons are driven back into the bowels of the earth, which is a most unfortunate fate. If, however, these spirits are industriously engaged in the operation of plant growth, they can either enter the path of the flesh, or after a certain period of service, which can extend up to 200 years at the longest and somewhat beyond, they can return to their previous free state, in which free state they can then inhabit either the air, the mountains, the earth, forests, and sometimes also lakes and rivers. This kind of spirits, then, has a perfect intelligence. They are extremely knowledgeable in the things of nature, and can see and hear everything that happens on earth, and what is talked about there. These spirits can even deal with people and sometimes render them decisive services. Only everyone must beware of approaching them in anything, for there they easily become embittered and can do significant harm to the one who had embittered them. And that because, although they inhabit matter, they are nevertheless mortal enemies thereof. Areas in which they prefer to live must be remote and quiet. In such an area, it is also not advisable for anyone to shout loudly, to whistle, still less to curse and scold, because thereby the spirits still trapped in matter could be stimulated and become rebellious, which could then bring harm to those who have already become freer in their concepts. In order to prevent this, they try to frighten the hikers in such areas by all kinds of phenomena, so that they will want to vacate such an area as quickly as possible. They are especially hectic in the tunnels and shafts, where they have often caused the greatest accidents for those working in the mountains. Here and there, a sudden collapse of shafts and tunnels, evil air in them, often sudden floods, disappearance of metal veins, and other such crazy things, are all the work of such spirits. Just as on high mountains, also landslides and great snow avalanches are mostly accomplished by these devils. If these spirits are sometimes benevolent to people in some way, or at least do not intend to do them any harm, they usually appear in a dwarf form, either in a very dark, grey, blue, or green colour. This small form indicates that they lower themselves to the people in order to do them good, because they in some way pity the banished spirit in them. But when a man then behaves improperly against such spirits, then they not seldom grow to tremendously gigantic size, in which form it is then no longer good to stay near them. And without invocation of my name, certainly not. But that such spirits do exist has already been stated in the last communication. The only question now is whether such spirits will also pass through the way of the flesh or not. If they show themselves very useful and active on earth, the flesh can be forgiven them on earth. But for this they come either to the moon or to another planet, where they must, nevertheless, accept an incarnation, and also usually accept it more willingly, because the incarnation on the other world bodies is usually more fleeting and easier. These spirits are then usually called wandering spirits, in that they move from one planet to another, in with which wandering not seldom also spirits of deceased people join their cause, to which especially the so-called natural philosophers and astronomers profess, to whom these wandering spirits, which were not incarnated on earth, usually render desirable services. For the spirits of the deceased could not see anything on the other world bodies without the help of these wandering nature spirits. But these nature spirits help them to the way into the people of other world bodies, and make that such spirits can then see the things on the foreign world bodies through the eyes of these people. When such nature spirits get tired because of the lengthy journey, then it usually happens that they return to the earth again, and then put up with the difficult incarnation, without which the childhood of God is never to be thought of. For everyone who wants to become a child of God must also go the way of God from A to Z. For which reason, as has already been made known to you, spirits from countless other world bodies penetrate to earth to go through the incarnation of the Son of Man. For as there is only one God, one truth, and one life, so there is also only one way to Him, from which it is not a necessary consequence that, therefore, all inhabitants of other world bodies must make this way in order to be blessed in their kind. Just as there can also be an innumerable amount of other healthy nerves and fibres in a human body, without them being nerves and fibres of the heart. Through this contemplation and memorable introduction, everyone will surely already find his way quite easily in the second spiritual region. Next, therefore, only a few memorable little historical tales, and then quickly down into the first aerial region.